countdown to kickoff.
Rattler countdown to kickoff. Zay Major, the one and only, Big Zero.
Rattler countdown to kickoff. Go Rattler.
Welcome back to Rattler Countdown to Kickoff. I'm your host, Spencer Henderson. What a game by the Rattlers up in Chapel Hill last Saturday. The Rattlers lost to the Tar Heels by a score of 56-24, but that score doesn't really tell you everything that you need to know. So on today's show, I'll talk about that game and what it means for the Rattlers going forward. But first, I have to address the elephant in the room with the NCAA's compliance issues that ruled several players as ineligible, including the best defensive player in the FCS, Isaiah Land. And finally, the SWAC matchup of the year, played down in Miami, Florida, that everyone is waiting for. The 2022 Orange Blossom Classic at Hard Rock Stadium is just a few days away. Plus, I'll give my prediction of the score at the end of the show. Rattler Countdown to Kickoff starts right now. This is the one right here. See, this is the game that determined the winner of the SWAC in 2021. And this year, the Rattlers look to get revenge from a 1-point loss to the Tigers of Jackson State. It was a wet and soggy field inside of Hard Rock Stadium last year, and neither offense looked great in that game. But I'm not making any excuses. This was still a winnable game, and a lot of things have changed in a year for the Rattlers. Number one, Rashawn McKay would not start at quarterback against the Tigers. This year, the Rattlers have arguably the best quarterback in the SWAC in Jeremy Musa, and the offense looks to put up big numbers in the air. All fall camp, these players have let it be known that they lost the SWAC by one single point. Yes, the Rattlers almost knocked off the Tigers in Miami in 2021, but almost doesn't count, and the team will need to open up their offense and stay focused on the task at hand. But staying focused will be tough, because the Rattlers are dealing with one of the biggest distractions in the school's history before they count down to kickoff.
As of yet, no new changes. So we're leaving tomorrow with the guys that are cleared, and hopefully we'll get a few more by kickoff. We have a plan to get those guys down if they turn over the next couple of days. And so obviously just got to roll with the punches for right now, and we'll have a list of guys that are ready to play, and we'll take off tomorrow morning. Obviously, I'm proud of the young men, for being able to advocate for themselves. Obviously, there are things that they feel aren't contributing to their first-class experience that we talk about here at Florida. And so to address that is what I think they should do. As a head coach, it's my job to support them. They're not alone. There are other students that are coming out and other sports. And so I think the letter is getting more signatures as we speak. But again, it's not an attack on the university. It's not an attack on any individual. It's just like any other national, protest or whatever. These young men are bringing awareness to things that are affecting them, right, at the end of the day. And we have to be sympathetic to that, because they are the product. Without the kids, none of us are here. So it's important that we hear from them, that we address these needs and concerns. If there are areas that we need to improve upon, let's put our collective heads together and improve them. Because again, we want the best and the brightest to continue to come to Florida A&M like they have for over 140 years. And for us to continue to do that, we have to make sure that every student athletes included, has that first class experience that we talk about in our school motto.
Has anyone been cleared yet?
As of right now, no. Aside from Kyle Jackson yesterday, no new guys have been added to the travel list.
What type of process is that? I mean, is that something that you may be able to get people cleared before the Blossom?
No, we hope so. Again, because a lot of it is process, right? I mean, again, the guys aren't ineligible, right? They're meeting their progress towards degree. They have the appropriate GPAs. It's just because of some systems that we have where grade changes go in later than normal, or I wouldn't say normal, later than the expected date, or a major change goes in later than the expected date, or a transcript gets uploaded for a transfer, past the required date. We're finding ourselves in some of these situations, and so we're working through these. We're in constant contact with NCAA to see if, because of our systems, is that a reason to penalize the young men? And I don't know the answer to that question. So that's where we are right now. So they're not guys that we're trying to say, well, they're really not eligible, let them play. They're all meeting their progress towards degree. So in our minds, in our eyes, they should be allowed to play.
Those compliance issues that Coach Simmons spoke about is what kept the best players on the defense out of the game on Saturday night. FAMU defensive back B.J. Bowler and last year's Buck Buchanan winner Isaiah Land were two of the players who were listed as ineligible players. Their absence on the defense was evident and played a role in the lack of pressure that North Carolina's quarterback Drake May saw. But more importantly, these compliance issues are keeping students from achieving their goals. And FAMU President Larry Robinson addressed the team after Tuesday's practice.
Well, I just want them to know, I talked to them last Friday, right, about our commitment to their success. I wanted to come and talk to them in person and hear what their concerns were in person. I do appreciate the letter that they got, but I got a little bit more of a sense of passion and urgency around the issue when I talked to them in person. But that's why I came. I want to look them in the eye and hear from them directly and not try to have to interpret from the language in the letter. The misconception that people may have that we're not supportive of family athletics in the way that we should, and we don't care about these young men. That's very disturbing to me because I know how much we do care and how much we put into make this program whole, and we're going to continue to do more. But that's what bothers me the most, is that this perception that we don't care and we haven't invested properly in the program.
Just the whole process. Are you aware of how long it could take? The whole process with the compliance.
Well, I mean, it's an ongoing process. I put it that way. So we're continuing to work with our people and the coach to make sure every reasonable chance that we have of getting the student a waiver that we get that. So we have to be careful though that we don't send the wrong message to the NCAA.
It is still unclear if both Bowler and Land will be deemed eligible before the kickoff of the Orange Blossom Classic against Jackson State. All we know so far is that these starters will not be able to play until a lot of work is done by the University Compliance Office. Another starting player on the team that was ruled out against the Tar Heels was offensive lineman Cameron Colvin. Now, Colvin was one of the 10 offensive linemen that were deemed ineligible. And although the team held their own against North Carolina's defensive line, his absence was critical. To your knowledge, do you know if the NCAA is aware of what you were just saying as far as the process of everything?
Well, I would hope so. From my understanding, there's been some discussion from our compliance department with the NCAA. And so hopefully those discussions include explaining our processes. And if that's the case, then hopefully the NCAA does what we feel is the right thing and looks and says, okay, well, we shouldn't penalize the young men because the school has a computer system that doesn't upload things as fast as maybe a Power 5 school does, right? So hopefully that's what we get, and we can get some of these guys back by Saturday.
Talk about a distraction. These student athletes are literally days away from competing in their biggest conference game of the year. Some students on campus are familiar with certain issues on campus and is supporting the team just like Coach Simmons.
I feel like that was a letter those were things that needed to be said. When the team was speaking on behalf of the team, I feel like they were speaking on behalf of the whole school because, I feel the exact same way they feel. So, dealing with financial aid or, other things, so I feel the same way.
I honestly think it takes a lot for the football players to actually do that for themselves, so I feel like they are really speaking up for themselves, so for them to do that and not do it through a channel of administration, I think it says a lot. The players want to express themselves from their standpoint, from their point of view, compared to getting out like an official statement from the staff and the coaching and whatnot. So I think that says a lot for the players and their issues and what they have going on.
Dr. Robinson is trying to fix these problems as soon as humanly possible. And he has taken a lot of criticism after the reports that the team had over 20 ineligible players on the roster.
Talking to them directly, right, gives a better indication of what their concerns are, as opposed to trying to sort through what's in a letter or what's out there in social media and elsewhere. I cannot, be held accountable for all of that. I want to hear from the young man directly, and that's what I had the opportunity to do this afternoon.
Yes, we did it. Woo.
According to President Robinson, the meeting with the football players was not as contentious as many might believe. Coach Simmons wanted the press to know that the players' letter wasn't an attack on the university, but more of a way to find transparency while these student athletes work towards their goals. Coach Simmons is very familiar with these players and support them 100%.
I'm proud of them for taking the meeting. Dr. Robinson called the meeting, so I'm thankful to him for seeing the need to address these young men. And I think collectively we can be the FAMU that we all aspire to be. We're doing a ton of phenomenal things here at this university. Again, I continue to echo the message that we don't have a football team or a sports program full of bad students, right? We have a couple of individuals that didn't get it done in the classroom, but for the most part, the guys on this football team have taken care of their business in the classroom. And so again, I don't want that to be what people think about these guys. They bleed, they sweat, they cry for this program, for this university, and I think it's only fair that we support them the way that they need to be.
If you haven't heard yet, the Rattlers' first conference game of the year will be in 3 days down in Miami, Florida against the Jackson State Tigers. Kickoff is slated for 3 p.m. and the game can be viewed on ESPN2. Hopefully, these Rattlers can score more than 6 points this year and score big on offense. And my prediction is the Rattlers will beat Jackson State by 7 with a score of 33-26. So make sure you watch the Rattlers on Sunday afternoon on ESPN2 against Deion Sanders and the Tigers. Have a great Labor Day weekend.